Are you a good person? It's a simple question, isn't it? One we rarely pause to truly answer because, well, most of us believe we are. We follow rules, we try to be kind, we don't intentionally hurt others. We donate, we hold doors, we strive to do the right thing. But what if your very definition of good is a cage? A comfortable, familiar one, perhaps, but a cage designed not for your liberation, but for your conformity, for your predictable place in a system. Let's put it to the test. Imagine this. Your closest friend has poured their heart and soul into creating something deeply personal, art, a story, a song. They're bursting with excitement, eager for your honest opinion. You look at it, you listen, and deep down, you know it's not great. In fact, it's objectively terrible. It lacks skill, originality, redeeming quality. Your friend looks at you eyes wide with vulnerable hope, asking, "So, what do you think?" Do you tell them the brutal truth? Do you crush their spirit with blunt honesty? Or do you instinctively smile, offer vague, gentle, yet utterly false praise? It's so interesting. You're brave for putting yourself out there. A classic white lie designed purely to protect their feelings, to preserve your friendship, to spare them disappointment. Most of us, in that excruciating moment, would choose the white lie, and we'd justify it was kinder. A good friend wouldn't be so cruel. But here's the kicker: by making that choice, you just bent your moral code. You prioritized compassion or social comfort over absolute truth. You judged an outcome, your friend's feelings, the ease of your relationship, as more important than rigid honesty. So, are you still good for lying or good for being kind? What happens when those two definitions of virtue collide? This everyday ethical tightrope walk is precisely where Friedrich Nietzsche begins his seismic demolition of morality. He demands we confront something far more unsettling. Is your moral compass truly an objective, universal instrument pointing towards an eternal truth? Or is it, in fact, a deeply personal, often unconscious collection of biases and inherited values, painstakingly carved into your psyche by your culture, family, religion, society, a system designed less to foster true individual greatness and more to maintain a comfortable, predictable average? Nietzsche forces us to ask, what if everything we've been taught to revere as good, humility, compassion, obedience, self-sacrifice, even that gentle white lie, is actually a subtle, insidious mechanism to keep us average, to prevent us from rising too far above the crowd, from questioning the status quo, from forging our own values, from becoming truly extraordinary? What if the very virtues we champion are, in fact, self-imposed shackles? This isn't about becoming a bad person, not in the simplistic sense. It's about a profound act of self-excavation, tearing down the inherited framework of good and evil that dictates our lives, often without our consent. It's about daring to peer beyond comfortable narratives, beyond pre-approved moral categories, to understand where these ideas truly originated, who benefited, and how they might be limiting your potential for a life lived authentically, powerfully on your terms. Over the next hour, we're embarking on a radical intellectual journey with one of history's most provocative thinkers. We'll dismantle the very foundations of what you thought you knew about morality, strength, weakness, and what it means to be human. We'll challenge the notion that there's a universal good waiting to be discovered, and instead explore Nietzsche's revolutionary, exhilarating, and terrifying idea that we must create our own values, our own meaning. This isn't a comfortable journey. It's a profoundly liberating and essential one for anyone who has ever felt a subtle, nagging suspicion that there's more to life and more to than society has allowed. Are you ready to question everything? Because to live beyond good and evil, you must start by asking, are you really a good person or just a well-behaved one, playing by someone else's rules? Welcome, truth seekers, rebels, and anyone feeling the quiet nudge that there's more to life than the well-trodden path. Today, we're not just opening a book, we're igniting a mental revolution. We're about to venture into the exhilarating, sometimes terrifying, landscape of Friedrich Nietzsche's Beyond Good and Evil, a text that has rightly earned its author the title, the philosopher with a hammer. But let's be clear, he wasn't here merely to smash things for the sake of destruction. No, Nietzsche wielded that hammer with precision, aiming to shatter the fragile, often invisible, assumptions and illusions that we unknowingly build our lives upon. He's here to expose the crumbling foundations of conventional wisdom, to break down the gilded cages of conformity that we often don't even realize are holding us captive, preventing us from truly flourishing. For what felt like an eternity, I lived under the suffocating weight of an almost crippling fear of judgment. It wasn't just the overt criticisms that stung, it was the insidious, subtle judgments, the raised eyebrows, the unsaid expectations, the social media feeds overflowing with curated perfection, all painting a picture of what success or happiness should look like. I found myself constantly performing, editing my true self, shaping my opinions, my aspirations, even my interests, to fit into a mold I thought others would approve of. It was an exhausting, soul-sapping act. I recall a particularly intense period right after graduating college. Everyone, from well-meaning relatives to old-school friends, seemed to have a meticulously detailed blueprint for my life. You should get a stable job, something with good benefits. Are you still pursuing that niche interest? Maybe you should focus on something more mainstream. Why don't you settle down like so-and-so? The chorus of expectations was deafening, a relentless drumbeat pushing me towards a future that felt utterly alien to my spirit, but perfectly sensible and safe in the eyes of the world. I was on the precipice of making a life-altering decision, one that felt like a betrayal of my deepest self, yet was applauded by everyone around me as the right choice. It felt like I was drowning in a sea of other people's blueprints, losing sight of my own shore. And then, quite unexpectedly, Beyond Good and Evil entered my life. It wasn't some dry academic assignment. It was pressed into my hands by a friend who, with uncanny insight, sensed the internal struggle I was enduring. I approached it with a mix of trepidation and desperate hope, bracing myself for dense, impenetrable philosophical jargon. What I discovered, however, was an intellectual earthquake, an electrifying jolt to my entire perspective. Nietzsche, through his incisive aphorisms and audacious provocations, didn't just question conventional morality, he ripped open its fabric. He challenged the very source of our ingrained beliefs, peering into the hidden motives, the unspoken biases, and the historical contingencies that shaped our notions of good and evil. He didn't tell me what to think, but rather, he equipped me with the intellectual tools and the radical permission to think differently about the immense societal pressures I was facing. He illuminated the startling truth that the good and evil I was so frantically trying to conform to were often nothing more than deeply entrenched social constructs, convenient fictions designed not necessarily to foster individual flourishing, but to maintain a comfortable, predictable order. It was like a sudden, brilliant flash of lightning in a long, dark night. Suddenly, the cacophony of others' opinions, while still present, lost their crushing existential weight. I began to perceive them not as universal truths, but as expressions of their values, their fears, their limitations, their inherited biases. This wasn't a magic wand that instantly transformed me into a fearless, defiant rebel overnight, but it was the crucial crack in the dam, allowing the stagnant waters of conformity to begin to drain away. It empowered me to gradually, but decisively, choose a path that resonated authentically with me, even if it meant raising a few eyebrows, even if it meant stepping away from the sensible and embracing the risky. That single book didn't just reframe my thoughts, it recalibrated my entire internal compass, giving me a profound new understanding of self-worth, decision-making, and the boundless courage required to truly live your life. And that, my friends, is the beating heart of our journey together today. My unwavering mission throughout this entire series is not to offer a dusty, academic dissection of Nietzsche's philosophy for intellectual bragging rights. Far from it. It is to translate his profoundly powerful, often deliberately provocative, and sometimes profoundly misunderstood ideas into a living, breathing, actionable guide for navigating the complexities of our modern world. This is about equipping you with the intellectual and emotional fortitude to live a bolder, more authentic, and ultimately, a more deeply fulfilling life in our hyper-connected, often conformist, and perpetually distracting digital age. This isn't an invitation to embrace nihilism or to retreat into isolation. It's a call to cultivate an unshakable strength of character, to foster genuine intellectual independence, and to develop a far deeper understanding of human motivation, both your own shadowy impulses and the overt drives of those around you. So, let's reset your expectations right here, right now. Forget any preconceived notions you might have about a typical philosophy deep dive. This isn't just a passive summary of complex texts. It's an active, rigorous workout for your mind, your spirit, and your very conception of self. We will unflinchingly challenge your most deeply held beliefs, deliberately push the boundaries of your comfort zone, and embark on an exhilarating exploration of what it truly means to define your own values, to forge your own path, and to become truly self-reliant in an era that seems to actively discourage it. Nietzsche isn't a dusty, intimidating figure to be admired from an academic distance. He's a surprisingly relatable rebel, a fiercely insightful provocateur who speaks with startling directness to the universal struggles of self-discovery, identity formation, and the relentless quest for meaning in an age of overwhelming external noise and endless distractions. He doesn't offer simplistic answers, but rather, he presents profound, often uncomfortable, questions that possess the singular power to empower you, to transform you, to make you the undeniable architect of your own unique and extraordinary existence. So, I ask you now, with genuine conviction, are you truly ready to pick up the hammer, to chip away at the illusions, and to build something magnificent? Welcome to Chapter 1, The Will to Power Your Deepest Drive. Few concepts from Friedrich Nietzsche are as widely misunderstood and often as deliberately misconstrued as the will to power. It's a phrase that conjures images of ruthless ambition, conquest, and domination. But if we peel back these layers of popular misconception, we discover something far more profound and indeed far more inspiring. Nietzsche's will to power is not merely about exerting control over others. It is, at its core, the internal engine that drives all life towards growth, self-overcoming, and the relentless pursuit of self-mastery. It is the fundamental force compelling us to develop, to expand our capabilities, and to constantly push beyond our current limitations. Think of it as your deepest, most primal urge for self-improvement, for creativity, and for achieving your fullest potential. It's the drive that doesn't settle for stasis, but always seeks to elevate, to perfect, to become more. Consider the dedicated artist, spending countless hours in solitude, perfecting their craft. Their canvas or instrument isn't just a means to an end. It's a battleground for their will to power. They wrestle with technique, with expression, with their own creative blocks, not to dominate fellow artists, but to transcend their previous work, to bring a new vision into being, to master their chosen medium, and in doing so, master a part of themselves. Or look at the entrepreneur building a business from scratch. They face overwhelming odds, market challenges, and moments of doubt. Their drive isn't solely about profit, it's about actualizing a vision, creating something new, solving problems, and navigating complex systems. It's the thrill of building, of innovating, of overcoming obstacles through sheer ingenuity and resilience. This, too, is the will to power, at play, a profound will to create and to assert one's creative vision upon the world. Then there's the athlete, pushing their body to its absolute physical limits. Why endure grueling training, pain, and sacrifice? Not just to defeat an opponent, but to conquer their own physical and mental barriers. To shave milliseconds off a time, to lift a heavier weight, to perform a more complex routine. Their will to power manifests as an insatiable desire to push past their perceived boundaries, to master their own biology, and to become a more perfected version of themselves. These are not acts of simple domination. While competition is often a stage for the will to power, the ultimate conquest is always internal. The artist, the entrepreneur, the athlete, they are all engaged in a form of self-overcoming. They are striving to become more to actualize themselves to a higher degree. This stands in stark contrast to the simplistic, often brutal, idea of political or physical tyranny. Nietzsche viewed such forms of crude domination as a rather primitive, almost stunted, expression of the will to power. When the internal drive for self-mastery is frustrated, or perhaps misunderstood, it can degenerate into an externalized desire to control others. But for Nietzsche, true power, genuine strength, lay in the capacity for self-discipline, self-creation, and the elevation of one's own being. It's not about imposing your will on others, but about imposing your will on yourself, shaping, refining, and strengthening your character and capabilities. So, I invite you to reflect, where does this will to power show up in your own life? What ambitions burn within you that compel you towards growth? What passions drive you to learn, to create, to improve, to overcome your own challenges and limitations? Is it the desire to master a new skill, to complete a challenging project, to understand a complex idea, or to contribute something unique to the world? Take a moment to identify these internal currents. Recognizing this drive within yourself is the first step to harnessing it consciously and productively. It's about understanding that your deepest aspirations are not just fleeting desires, but manifestations of this fundamental life-affirming force within you. Welcome back, truth seekers. We continue our journey into Beyond Good and Evil with Chapter 2, Master Vices, Slave Morality, the two codes we all live by. Nietzsche argues that humanity operates under two foundational moral systems, often unknowingly, in perpetual conflict within us and our society. Understanding them is crucial to recognizing the competing values that shape our daily decisions and the world itself. First, master morality. This emerges from the strong, the noble, the self-affirming spirit. These individuals create their own values from an overflowing sense of vitality and power, not seeking external validation. Good is what they are: noble, strong, proud, ambitious, daring, excellent. They esteem courage, truthfulness, an unyielding will, and the capacity for great deeds. It's a morality born from life affirmation, a profound sense of self-worth. Like the eagle, they define their own standards. Their actions are an expression of inherent strength, not a reaction. Bad is simply what is weak, cowardly, or common, a lesser state, not an evil one. Contrast this with slave morality. This system is a reactive response, born from oppression, weakness, and suffering. It's the morality of the herd, feeling victimized by the strong, fueled by resentment, deep-seated bitterness against the master's power and values. Unable to genuinely overcome the strong, slave morality redefines values. What the master calls good pride, strength, the slave labels evil, arrogance, brutality. Conversely, what the master dismisses as bad, humility, weakness, the slave elevates to good and virtue. It champions values like compassion, charity, equality, and sympathy, often as a means to make weakness feel righteous, to level the playing field, and to make the powerful feel guilty. It's the lamb declaring the eagle's strength evil and its own meekness virtuous. Modern society is a constant battleground for these two moralities. You see it everywhere. In education, we celebrate individual academic and athletic excellence, a master morality echo. Yet, simultaneously, there's a strong push for everyone gets a trophy, for ensuring no one feels left behind, and prioritizing comfort over rigorous demands, clear manifestations of slave morality, seeking to alleviate suffering and equalize outcomes. In business, the daring entrepreneur, driven by ambition and a will to power, embodies master morality. Yet, regulatory bodies, corporate social responsibility, and calls for ethical consumption prioritize collective well-being and protection of the vulnerable influences of slave morality, seeking to temper power. Even in culture, we admire confident, talented individuals, but quickly engage in cancel culture against those perceived as too powerful or privileged, often driven by collective resentment, a reactive force of slave morality. The emphasis on victimhood and narratives of struggle as moral authority transforms weakness into virtue. Nietzsche doesn't simplistically declare one superior, but urges us to recognize their dominance within ourselves and society. So, your challenge: honestly assess which moral system influences your daily decisions more. When facing a setback, do you instinctively seek to overcome it through your own strength and resilience, master? Or do you tend to look for external blame, seek sympathy, or find moral superiority in your suffering slave? What truly inspires you? Relentless pursuit of excellence, courage to stand alone, profound self-reliance, or unwavering compassion, humility, and dedication to the less fortunate? How do you react to success and failure, both your own and that of others? Do you celebrate raw achievement or instinctively question its ethics? This isn't about judgment, it's about self-awareness. Recognizing these codes is the first step toward consciously shaping your own values rather than simply inheriting them. It illuminates the deeper motivations behind your actions and others, offering profound insight into the dynamic interplay of power and resentment that shapes human experience. Keep these codes in mind, for they will illuminate many more of Nietzsche's provocative ideas. Welcome back to our journey through Friedrich Nietzsche's Beyond Good and Evil. In this chapter, The Myth of Absolute Truth, we tackle one of Nietzsche's most profound and challenging ideas, perspectivism. If the previous discussions have felt like a gentle stroll, prepare for a seismic shift in how you might view reality itself. Nietzsche asks us to confront a radical notion that there are no universal facts, only individual interpretations. This isn't an invitation to nihilism, where nothing matters or is real. Rather, it's a call to intellectual humility and a deeper, more nuanced form of critical thinking. For Nietzsche, truth isn't some fixed, objective entity waiting to be discovered, but rather a creation, a perspective shaped by our needs, our values, and our very will to power. Think about the famous phrase, "There are no facts, only interpretations." At first glance, this might sound unsettling. Doesn't the world present us with objective realities? A rock is a rock, a tree is a tree. But Nietzsche isn't denying the existence of rocks and trees. He's questioning our understanding of them, our relationship to them, and how we frame them within our conscious experience. What is a fact to a geologist is different from a fact to a gardener or a poet or someone simply seeking shelter from the rain. Each sees the rock or tree through their own unique lens, emphasizing different aspects, assigning different meanings, and ultimately constructing their own valid truth about it. To illustrate this, imagine three individuals witnessing the exact same street incident, perhaps a minor car accident or a heated public argument. The first person is a traffic engineer. They observe the precise angles of impact, the speed of the vehicles, the adherence to road regulations, and the flow of traffic before and after. Their truth is a statistical, mechanical, and regulatory account. The second person is a social worker. They focus on the emotional reactions of those involved, the underlying stressors that might have led to the argument, the vulnerability of the pedestrians, and the immediate need for human support. Their truth is an empathetic, psychological, and socially minded narrative. The third person is a budding playwright. They observe the dramatic tension, the body language, the dialogue, the setting, and how the event might serve as a metaphor for broader human struggles. Their truth is an artistic, interpretive, and narrative construction. Each of these three individuals has witnessed the same objective event yet their accounts, their truths, are distinct, valid within their own frameworks, and inherently shaped by their unique perspectives. No single account fully encompasses the absolute truth of the event. Rather, the full picture emerges from an appreciation of all three, while acknowledging their inherent partiality. This brings us to the crucial role of our personal lens. Nietzsche argues that our understanding of the world is perpetually filtered through the unique lens of our language, our culture, and our personal history. Language, for instance, doesn't just describe reality, it shapes it. Different languages categorize emotions, objects, and concepts in distinct ways, influencing how their speakers perceive and interact with the world. Our culture imbues us with shared values, societal norms, and historical narratives that pre-structure our understanding, often unconsciously. And our personal history, our upbringing, experiences, traumas, triumphs, education creates a highly individualized framework through which all new information is processed and interpreted. You are not merely receiving raw data from the world, you are interpreting it constantly. This interpretive process is what creates your truth, and it is deeply personal and situated. This understanding of perspectivism isn't meant to diminish the search for knowledge, but to enrich it. It's an urgent call for intellectual humility. If my truth is an interpretation shaped by my lens, then so is yours. This realization compels us to be more open, more critical of our own certainty, and more empathetic toward differing viewpoints. So, here is a challenge for you. Directly inspired by Nietzsche's perspectivism, think of a topic about which you feel absolutely certain. It could be a political stance, a moral conviction, an artistic preference, or even a scientific theory you hold dear. Now, actively seek out an articulate, well-reasoned opposing viewpoint. Don't just skim it, truly engage with it. Try to understand how someone could arrive at that conclusion given their own potential lens, experiences, or underlying assumptions. Don't aim to change your mind, but simply to comprehend the structure of their truth. Can you see the world, for a moment, through their eyes? Can you understand the validity of their interpretation, even if you ultimately disagree with its conclusions? This exercise isn't about abandoning your convictions. It's about strengthening them by understanding their boundaries and about cultivating the intellectual agility to navigate a world brimming with diverse, often conflicting interpretations. It is, in essence, an invitation to move beyond good and evil in your own cognitive process, recognizing the interpretive nature of all claims to absolute truth. Welcome back to our journey through Friedrich Nietzsche's Beyond Good and Evil. We've navigated the treacherous waters of moral prejudice and the origins of our values. Now, in Chapter 4, we arrive at what, for Nietzsche, stands as the ultimate human aspiration, the free spirit. This isn't just a philosophical concept, it's an invitation, a challenge, and a blueprint for a life lived with profound authenticity. It's the very embodiment of breaking free from the shackles of inherited thought and daring to forge one's own path. So, what exactly is a free spirit? Imagine an individual who has cultivated the radical courage to think entirely for themselves, to genuinely interrogate the foundations of their beliefs. This isn't merely about superficial disagreement, it's about a fundamental reorientation, a deeply personal commitment to intellectual independence that permeates every aspect of their understanding of the world. The free spirit questions everything, every inherited truth, every sacred cow, every conventional wisdom passed down through generations, even those truths held most dear by society. They refuse to accept beliefs simply because they are popular, traditional, comfortable, or even seemingly good. Their mind is their own sovereign territory, and they guard its borders fiercely against intellectual laziness and imposed doctrines. More than that, the free spirit actively creates their own values, building a moral compass not from external doctrines or societal mandates, but from an inner wellspring of strength, introspection, and self-knowledge. This individual embraces solitude, not as a punishment or a failing, but as a necessary condition for genuine self-discovery, for the quiet contemplation required to forge an independent worldview. They wear their independence, their very aloneness in thought, not as a burden, but as a badge of honor, a testament to their unwavering commitment to truth as they perceive it, irrespective of common consensus. It is a state of being where intellectual honesty triumphs over social convenience. But let us not underestimate the sheer, monumental courage required to embark on this path. To become a free spirit means detaching oneself from the gravitational pull of the herd. Think of the immense comfort, the psychological safety that comes with conforming, with echoing popular opinion, with being part of a group, with having one's beliefs validated by the majority. It's a powerful siren song, promising acceptance, security, and the avoidance of social friction and judgment. Nietzsche understood this deeply. To break away is to risk not only ostracism and misunderstanding, but often outright scorn, ridicule, and even hostility from those who find independent thought threatening. It means standing alone against a tide of conformity, against the comforting hum of shared delusion and the seductive allure of intellectual laziness. It means having the audacity to say, "No, I will not believe that, because I have examined it with the full force of my intellect, and I find it wanting." It demands an almost superhuman resilience to the fear of isolation, the profound human fear of being wrong when everyone else is right, and the deep-seated fear of simply being different in a world that often rewards sameness. This is not a path for the faint of heart. It requires a will strong enough to withstand the immense psychological pressure to fall back into line, to trade genuine self-determination for collective approval and the easy path of groupthink. It is a constant act of defiance against the instinct for comfort and belonging. Yet, for those who dare to cultivate this spirit, the rewards are immeasurable, far outweighing the difficulties. The free spirit lives a life of profound authenticity, a life truly their own crafted by their own hands and mind. Imagine the unparalleled liberation that comes from shedding the masks of convention, from no longer performing for an imagined audience, from expressing your deepest convictions without apology or reservation. This is a life rich with self-created meaning, where purpose isn't passively inherited or handed down from external authorities, but actively forged and discovered from within. Every choice, every conviction, every value held dear is a testament to your unique journey, your personal understanding of what is good, true, and beautiful. There's a certain exhilarating, almost sacred freedom in not being bound by external validation, in deriving your intrinsic worth not from the fleeting applause of others or the metrics of success defined by society, but from the unwavering integrity of your own being, from the congruence between your inner convictions and your outward actions. It's a life lived on your own terms, deeply rooted in your own self-knowledge, unfettered by the often arbitrary and restrictive dictates of the herd mentality. It is the ultimate expression of individual sovereignty. Now, fast forward from Nietzsche's 19th century to our own hyper-connected, often overwhelming world. Does the struggle for authenticity still resonate, perhaps more profoundly and urgently than ever before? In an age dominated by social media, where meticulously curated personas often replace genuine selves, where likes, shares, and follower counts can feel like the definitive currencies of validation and self-worth, the concept of the free spirit feels not just relevant, but incredibly urgent, incredibly vital for our psychological well-being. We are constantly bombarded with idealized images of perfect lives, popular opinions broadcast as undeniable truths, and trending narratives that demand our uncritical acceptance, creating an almost irresistible, insidious pressure to conform, to present a sanitized, agreeable, and perfectly palatable version of ourselves. The digital herd is not only larger and more pervasive than anything Nietzsche could have possibly imagined, but it also wields a subtler, more constant influence. To be a free spirit today means having the courage to actively log off, to think critically about every piece of content we consume, to resist the deep-seated urge to perform for an algorithm, and to cultivate a rich, resilient inner life that is not dictated by fleeting external metrics of popularity or approval. It means reclaiming our intellectual sovereignty from the endless scroll, daring to be unpopular, daring to hold nuanced, complex views that defy easy categorization, and daring to simply be ourselves as with all our imperfections and unique insights, amidst a cacophony of curated perfection and manufactured consensus. It is the brave, essential act of deliberately unplugging from collective consciousness to consciously and purposefully plug into one's own unique and independent mind. The free spirit, then, is not merely an abstract idea. It is an ongoing process, a dynamic state of being, a lifelong commitment to self-overcoming, self-examination, and self-creation. It is the very essence of becoming who you are, unburdened by the illusions, prejudices, and convenient untruths of the past. It is the path to genuine individuality and meaning. As we move forward, we will delve deeper into the implications of this profound freedom, exploring how such an individual might navigate a world still steeped in conventional morality, and what responsibilities, both personal and societal, come with such profound liberation and self-mastery. Welcome back to our exploration of Friedrich Nietzsche's monumental work, Beyond Good and Evil *. Today, we confront one of his most piercing and, for many, most uncomfortable observations, the pervasive grip of the herd instinct and the profound fear it instills within us to be anything other than ordinary. Nietzsche understood that societies, for the sake of their own survival and cohesion, tend to cultivate what he termed herd morality. Imagine it as a deeply ingrained, collective survival mechanism, an unspoken agreement that prioritizes safety, stability, and sameness above all else. In this framework, deviation isn't celebrated as innovation or brilliance. It's often perceived as a potential threat to the group's equilibrium. The individual who shines too brightly, thinks too differently, or dares to challenge established norms can easily become a target of suspicion, even hostility. This system inherently rewards conformity, praising the average, celebrating the lowest common denominator, and creating a comfortable, if somewhat stifling, middle ground where genuine intellectual or creative superiority is frequently met with resistance, if not outright punishment. Mediocrity, ironically, becomes a virtue, a path of least resistance that ensures acceptance and avoids the discomfort of standing out. Let's consider how this manifests in our contemporary world. Take the phenomenon of cancel culture. While often framed as a necessary tool for accountability, Nietzsche might interpret its darker side as a modern, amplified expression of the herd instinct at play. An individual expresses an opinion, perhaps even a poorly articulated one, that deviates from the current, rapidly shifting consensus, and the herd descends. The collective outcry, the swift condemnation, the demand for public repentance or professional ostracization, isn't this the group swiftly punishing the individual who dares to stray from the path of accepted thought, even momentarily? It's less about genuine harm reduction and more about reinforcing the boundaries of acceptable expression, ensuring that everyone else falls in line, lest they too face the collective wrath. Or consider the seemingly innocuous world of viral social media trends. Whether it's a dance challenge, a specific aesthetic, a particular hashtag, or even a widely adopted stance on a political or social issue, millions rush to participate, to emulate, to belong. There's a profound, almost primal satisfaction in being part of that wave, in feeling connected to a vast, anonymous collective. To opt out, to refuse to participate, can feel like a strange act of rebellion, an isolating choice. The pressure isn't always explicit, it's subtle, pervasive, and self-reinforcing. Those who conform gain likes, shares, followers, and validation. Those who don't are simply ignored or worse, deemed irrelevant or out of touch. The desire to be seen, to be validated by the collective, can powerfully shape our outward and sometimes even our inward identities. Even in the corporate world, the herd instinct thrives under the guise of groupthink. How many genuinely groundbreaking ideas have been stifled in meeting rooms because one brave voice didn't want to be perceived as difficult or not a team player? The unspoken agreement to maintain harmony, to echo the opinions of those in power, to avoid conflict and perceived negativity, often leads to stagnant innovation and missed opportunities. Efficiency and consensus become paramount, overriding the pursuit of excellence or original thought. Here, mediocrity becomes the default, not because no one is capable of more, but because the system overtly rewards the path of least resistance and implicitly punishes those who challenge the status quo. This pressure to conform isn't merely external, it's deeply psychological. There is immense, undeniable comfort in belonging, in knowing you are part of a tribe, sharing common values, beliefs, and even fears. It's a warm, reassuring blanket against the harsh winds of uncertainty. To be accepted, to be seen as normal, provides a sense of security that is deeply human, echoing our evolutionary need for group survival. But what is the profound cost of this comfort? Nietzsche suggests that true individuality, the kind that dares to forge its own values, to think its own thoughts, to embrace its own unique perspective, often comes with a profound, almost terrifying loneliness. To stand apart means to potentially stand alone. To reject the easy answers of the crowd means to shoulder the full burden of your own truth, your own convictions, without the ready-made comfort of collective affirmation. This can be an intimidating prospect, and it's precisely why so many of us, consciously or unconsciously, cling to the safety and anonymity of the herd. The path of least resistance is alluring because it promises acceptance, even if it demands a certain sacrifice of self. So, as we reflected on Nietzsche's challenging insights into the herd instinct, I want to ask you, the listener, to engage in a moment of honest introspection. Identify just one belief you hold, one opinion you've adopted, not because you've rigorously examined it yourself, not because it aligns with your deepest personal conviction, but primarily because it's socially acceptable. Perhaps it's a political stance, a view on a cultural issue, an aesthetic preference, or even a personal aspiration that feels safe and approved by those around you. What is that belief? And what would it genuinely mean to question it, to scrutinize its origins, even if just for yourself, in the quiet solitude of your own mind? Nietzsche isn't advocating for an impossible, destructive anarchy, but rather for an honest assessment of our own intellectual and spiritual courage. Understanding the herd instinct isn't about condemning it entirely, but about recognizing its immense power and asking ourselves, are we truly leading our own lives, or are we simply being led, willingly or unwillingly, by the loudest voices in the crowd? In our next chapter, we'll delve deeper into the implications of this self-examination, exploring Nietzsche's concept of the free spirit and the arduous, yet ultimately liberating path it demands. Welcome to Chapter 6. What is noble? Redefining your standards. In our ongoing exploration of Nietzsche's Beyond Good and Evil, we've delved into his often uncomfortable, yet profoundly insightful critiques of conventional morality and societal structures. Today, we confront one of his most compelling and, frankly, revolutionary concepts: nobility. For Nietzsche, this isn't about dusty lineage, inherited titles, or the accumulation of vast wealth. It is something far more profound, an internal architecture of the soul, a self-respect that demands the utmost from oneself and cultivates a reverence for one's own unique path. What precisely constitutes Nietzschean nobility? At its bedrock, it is a radical, almost audacious, belief in your own inherent ability to create values. It's the conviction that you possess the power to forge your own path, to define what is good, true, and beautiful, not just for the world, but specifically for you. This isn't ego or self-indulgence. It is a fundamental, unshakable respect for yourself, born not from external validation, but from an acute awareness of your own potential and the profound responsibility that accompanies it. This self-respect remains unconditional, impervious to the ebb and flow of external approval. It's an internal standard, an innate sense of worth that you carry within you, regardless of the world's fluctuating opinions or its fleeting judgments. A truly noble spirit, in Nietzsche's unwavering view, understands that its most discerning judge and its most fervent advocate reside within its own being. Such a person is the creator of their own commandments, the architect of their own character. This unwavering self-mastery is not merely desirable, it is foundational. This profound definition stands in stark opposition to the common, often superficial, markers of status that society typically elevates and reveres. Consider the usual suspects: immense monetary wealth, an abundance of lavish possessions, prestigious job titles that confer perceived power, a vast following on social media, or even the coveted approval of influential figures. While these external trappings might bring temporary comfort, fleeting influence, or a sense of fleeting importance, Nietzsche would argue they are entirely irrelevant to true nobility. They are essentially external badges often acquired by sheer luck, inherited privilege, or even by strategically pandering to the lowest common denominator of public opinion. A person could conceivably possess all the riches in the world, command an empire of followers, and hold the most esteemed position imaginable, yet remain utterly ignoble in Nietzsche's discerning eyes if they lack that internal core of self-respect, self-authorship, and genuine reverence for their own potential. Conversely, someone entirely devoid of material wealth or conventional social standing could, through their unwavering commitment to their own truth, their disciplined pursuit of excellence, and their profound reverence for their unique trajectory, embody nobility in its purest form. True nobility, then, isn't merely something you asterisk. It's something you asterisk. It's a fundamental way of being in the world, an unwavering posture towards life itself, an internal compass that points towards self-overcoming. Emphasizing this further, Nietzschean nobility is far from a passive state of being. It is an active, demanding, and continuous engagement. It necessitates cultivating incredibly high standards for yourself, standards that often far exceed what anyone else would dare to impose upon you. This isn't about a neurotic pursuit of perfectionism, rather, it's a relentless, continuous striving for self-overcoming, for the audacious act of becoming more of who you are truly destined to be. This journey demands a rigorous sense of discipline, understood not as a form of punishment, but as a devoted practice, a meticulous cultivation of your inherent strengths, and a relentless, honest effort to confront and overcome your weaknesses. Crucially, it involves a profound sense of duty, not to some external authority, some inherited tradition, or a preordained dogma, but a duty to your own potential, to the unique, unexplored possibilities inherent within your individual being. This is the artist's sacred duty to their craft, the philosopher's unyielding duty to truth, the individual's paramount duty to their most authentic self. It means steadfastly refusing to settle for mediocrity, both in your chosen endeavors and in the very fabric of your character. It's a constant act of challenging yourself, fearlessly pushing boundaries, and embodying excellence on your own unique terms, dictated by your own internal measure of worth. So, how might we begin to integrate this radical, liberating notion of nobility into our own contemporary lives? I invite you, dear listener, to pause with me for a moment and truly reflect, what would being noble genuinely mean for you in your everyday existence? Consider your professional life, your work, your creative pursuits. Does nobility there translate to striving for excellence, even in moments when no one else is watching or when the rewards seem distant? Does it mean maintaining your unwavering integrity and ethical compass, even when faced with convenience or potential cost? Does it mean having the profound courage to pursue a challenging project, a difficult truth, or a unique artistic vision that deeply aligns with your most profound values, rather than simply opting for the easiest path to external validation or fleeting reward? Now shift your focus to your personal relationships with friends, family, partners. What would nobility genuinely look like within those vital connections? Perhaps it means possessing the courage to be unflinchingly honest and authentically vulnerable, even when such honesty feels difficult, uncomfortable, or potentially risky. Does it imply holding yourself to an uncompromising standard of respect, kindness, and empathy, not out of a desire for immediate reciprocation, but because it fundamentally aligns with your deepest internal sense of self-worth and your reverence for the humanity of others? Does it mean taking full, unwavering responsibility for your actions, your words, and your commitments, striving consistently to be a person of your word, a pillar of reliability and trust? Does it mean actively fostering relationships that are built upon mutual respect, genuine understanding, and the active encouragement of each other's highest potential, rather than merely settling for superficial convenience, fleeting pleasures, or transactional interactions? Nietzsche's concept of nobility is not a call to isolation, but a powerful invitation to move beyond the confines of herd mentality and towards an unparalleled individual blossoming. It is a profound summons to look inward, to meticulously cultivate an unshakable self-respect, and to live with an integrity, discipline, and reverence for your own unique path that ultimately defines your very being. It's about the arduous, yet immensely rewarding, process of becoming the person you are destined to be, fully and courageously, irrespective of the deafening noise, the fleeting trends, or the conventional expectations of the world around you. It's about building an unassailable foundation of values from within, making yourself and your highest potential the ultimate measure of your own profound worth. Welcome to Chapter 7, Wearing a Mask, Nietzsche the Psychologist. While Friedrich Nietzsche is widely celebrated for his critiques of morality and religion, an equally profound aspect of his genius lies in his role as one of the first great depth psychologists. Long before Freud or Jung, Nietzsche was delving into the subterranean currents that drive human behavior. He didn't just ask what we believe, but why we believe it, unearthing the hidden motivations beneath the polished surface of our conscious minds. He possessed an uncanny ability to peer into the human soul, discerning the complex interplay of desires, fears, and the primal will to power that shapes our inner landscape. His genealogy of morals, for example, is not merely a historical account, but a rigorous psychological investigation into why we value what we value, often revealing how our noblest ideals may have originated from far less noble psychological needs. Nietzsche understood that genuine self-understanding requires a fearless excavation of these often uncomfortable truths, seeing the conscious mind as often just a spokesperson for deeper, unacknowledged forces. One of Nietzsche's most compelling insights concerns the masks we all inevitably wear. These are the intricate personas, roles, and carefully curated self-presentations we adopt to navigate the complex tapestry of social existence. Think of the professional mask at work, the casual mask with friends, or the digital persona you project online. To a significant extent, these masks are necessary. They are the lubricants of social interaction, allowing us to maintain decorum, manage expectations, and protect our raw, vulnerable inner selves from constant scrutiny. They enable us to function within social norms, fostering predictability and cooperation that would be impossible if we always presented our unfiltered authenticity. However, it is precisely in this necessity that Nietzsche identifies a profound and insidious danger: the risk of becoming indistinguishable from the very masks we create. When we spend too long performing a role, when the outward presentation becomes so deeply ingrained, we can begin to mistake the facade for our fundamental identity. The original self recedes, obscured and neglected, until authenticity becomes a distant, unsettling memory. We might find ourselves trapped in a gilded cage of performance where our genuine desires and truths wither, leaving a hollow echo of what we once were. This self-deception, Nietzsche argues, is a profound form of self-alienation, robbing us of our vitality and potential. Nietzsche further penetrates this psychological landscape by suggesting that our strongest convictions, those beliefs we cling to most fiercely and vocally defend, often serve as the most elaborate and protective masks of all. What we vehemently affirm and passionately champion externally might, in fact, be compensating for a deep-seated insecurity, a hidden doubt, or an unacknowledged weakness within ourselves. Consider the individual who adopts an aggressively dogmatic moral stance. Is it possible that this rigid display is a shield against their own wavering uncertainties or private temptations? Or someone who loudly proclaims their fierce independence, perhaps trying to convince themselves more than anyone else, while secretly fearing loneliness or an inability to forge genuine connections? Our most passionate arguments, our seemingly unshakable certainties, can often be subtle, unconscious defenses, elaborate psychological constructs designed to protect us from an uncomfortable truth about ourselves or the world. These convictions deflect scrutiny and maintain a desired self-image, even if that image is ultimately built upon avoidance and self-deception. Nietzsche invites us to look beyond the proclaimed truth to the psychological need it fulfills, to discern the insecurity that the conviction is guarding. So, as we reflect on these profound Nietzschean insights, I invite you to a brief, honest self-inventory. This is not an exercise in judgment, but an opportunity for radical self-awareness. Take a moment to consider what is one mask you regularly wear in your daily life. And more importantly, what specific vulnerability, what insecurity, what deeper truth about yourself might that carefully chosen persona be protecting? What are you trying to hide, not just from others, but perhaps most profoundly from yourself? This act of recognition, of consciously identifying our masks, is the indispensable first step toward living a more genuine, integrated life. It allows us to move beyond mere performance, to reclaim our inner landscape, and to begin the challenging but ultimately liberating journey toward becoming truly, authentically ourselves, a journey Nietzsche believed was the highest calling of humanity. By acknowledging the faces we present, we begin to uncover the true face beneath. Welcome back to our journey through Friedrich Nietzsche's Beyond Good and Evil. In this chapter, we arrive at perhaps his most famous, and certainly his most frequently misinterpreted, concept, the Übermensch, or Overman. Few ideas from philosophy have been so widely misunderstood, so carelessly distorted, and at times, so maliciously misused. It's time to set the record straight, to peel back the layers of misconception and reveal the true, profound essence of this pivotal idea. When you hear Übermensch, what comes to mind? For many, the immediate image is often that of a muscular, physically superior individual, a sort of comic book Superman, perhaps even a ruthless, tyrannical figure who dominates others through sheer force. This widespread misconception could not be further from Nietzsche's profound, nuanced vision. The tragic association of the Übermensch with political tyranny and racial supremacy, particularly during the darkest chapters of the 20th century, stands as a chilling testament to the dangers of concepts taken out of their intricate context and weaponized for destructive ideologies. Nietzsche himself would have been utterly horrified by such perversions of his philosophy, having repeatedly condemned nationalism, anti-Semitism, and all forms of herd mentality that crush individual excellence. His Übermensch is not a biologically superior being, nor is it a blueprint for authoritarian rule. So, if the Übermensch is not a physical giant or a moral monster, what is it? Nietzsche presents the Übermensch as the ultimate state of self-mastery, the final aspirational destination for the free spirit we discussed earlier. It is the individual who has truly overcome human weakness in all its myriad forms: resentment, petty jealousies, intellectual laziness, the pervasive nihilism that can creep into modern life, the desire for external validation, and the comforting but ultimately stifling illusions perpetuated by herd conformity. This is not about dominating others. On the contrary, it is about the most profound and difficult form of conquest: mastering oneself. It's about conquering one's own lower instincts, transcending conventional morality when it no longer serves genuine life affirmation, and forging new, life-affirming values from the depths of one's unique being. The Übermensch embodies a profound psychological and spiritual transformation. It is a being characterized by immense self-discipline, boundless creativity, profound courage, and an unwavering will to power, understood not as domination over others, but as an internal drive for self-overcoming and self-perfection. This individual does not merely accept existence passively, but affirms it in its entirety, embracing suffering and joy, chaos and order as essential, interwoven components of a rich, meaningful, and authentic life. They are the true creators of new tables of values, not merely passive recipients of inherited dogma or societal expectations. They stand above the reactive spirit of gravity, embodying lightness, laughter, and a profound love of fate, what Nietzsche called *amor fati*, a joyous affirmation of everything that has been and will be. Crucially, the Übermensch is not a person you will ever meet walking down the street, nor is it a predestined biological evolution of the human species waiting to emerge. It is not something we but something we strive toward a perpetually receding horizon that constantly pulls us forward. It is an ideal, a goal for humanity, a living testament to the possibility of constant growth. It is the profound reason to constantly overcome our limitations, both inherited and self-imposed, to push beyond what we currently perceive as possible. Nietzsche saw humanity as a bridge, not an end, a bridge leading towards this higher type, this Übermensch. Each individual's life, in this sense, becomes a singular, invaluable opportunity for relentless self-overcoming, a personal project of becoming more, of evolving beyond our current limitations to tap into our highest potential. This concept, far from being elitist or destructive, is a profoundly inspiring and challenging call to action for every individual. It asks each of us to look within, with honesty and courage, and ask, what is the next level version of yourself you are striving to become? What deeply ingrained weaknesses must you confront and overcome within yourself? What old values, perhaps inherited without question, must you critically reevaluate, and if they prove life-denying, courageously discard? What new, life-affirming values will you authentically create and embody for yourself? The Übermensch is the ultimate personal challenge, an invitation to become the artist of your own life, to sculpt your being into a masterpiece of self-mastery, courage, and creative affirmation. It is an invitation to ceaseless growth, to a relentless pursuit of one's highest potential, not for the sake of an afterlife or external reward, but for the inherent value, profound joy, and deep meaning found in the very act of becoming. It is a philosophy of ascent, urging us to climb ever higher, to look beyond the merely human, towards the limitless possibilities of the Overman within. We've journeyed deep into the challenging, exhilarating world of Friedrich Nietzsche, dissecting his radical ideas and questioning the very foundations of morality. But philosophy isn't merely for academic dissection, it's a call to action, an invitation to live differently. Understanding Nietzsche is one thing, embodying his spirit and beginning your own journey beyond good and evil is another entirely. This isn't about becoming Nietzsche, but about empowering your unique self, embracing your will to power, and forging a path that is authentically your own. So, let's make this practical. I've put together a 7-day action plan, a weekly challenge designed to translate these abstract philosophical concepts into concrete, daily steps. This is your personal invitation to start living your philosophy right now. It will require honesty, courage, and a willingness to confront long-held assumptions. Are you ready? Ask days 1 and 2. The questioning phase. Nietzsche taught us the immense value of evaluating all values. For our first 2 days, your task is to begin this vital process with yourself. Your challenge is to identify just one herd belief you follow without question. This could be anything: an idea about success, happiness, what constitutes a good person, a political stance, or even a cultural norm that you adhere to simply because everyone else does. It's not about rejecting it outright, but about shining a light on its origins. Once you've identified it, take some time to journal about it. Ask yourself, where did you first encounter this belief? Was it taught by family, friends, school, media, or religion? Who instilled it in you? Does it truly resonate with your deepest self now, in this moment, or is it simply an inherited convention you've never truly interrogated? Be rigorously honest. The goal here is awareness, to understand the roots of your current framework, laying the groundwork for intentional living. Strex, days 3 and 4, the observing phase. Desk, now that you've begun to question your inherited beliefs, let's observe how these underlying assumptions manifest in your daily emotional and reactive landscape. For the next 2 days, your challenge is to consciously notice moments where you act or react from what Nietzsche would call slave morality. These are typically reactive emotions, often born from resentment, guilt, or a desire for external validation. Perhaps you feel a pang of envy at a colleague's success, or guilt for not meeting someone else's expectations, or resentment towards a situation where you feel powerless. These are key indicators of a morality that is reactive, externally focused, and often rooted in perceived weakness or a longing for something outside yourself. Good luck, and begin your grand adventure. When you catch yourself in such a moment, pause. Don't judge yourself, just observe. Then, try to reframe it from a master morality perspective. Instead of resentment, can you recognize your own capacity for creation and accomplishment, shifting focus to your own will and agency? Instead of guilt, can you take full responsibility for your choices and affirm your own values, moving from external blame to internal self-affirmation? This isn't about dismissing feelings, but consciously choosing how you interpret and respond to them, asserting your internal locus of control and self-worth. Ox, days 5 and 6, the acting phase, embracing the free spirit. Disc, observation naturally leads to action. With your awareness heightened, it's time to embody a core Nietzschean ideal, the free spirit. This is about cultivating the courage to think, feel, and live independently, even if it deviates from the norm. For these 2 days, your challenge is to perform one small, intentional act of free spirit. You have 2 options. Choose the one that feels most challenging yet achievable for you. Firstly, respectfully voice a unique opinion you usually keep to yourself. This isn't about being argumentative or contrarian, but about authentically expressing a perspective that is genuinely yours, perhaps in a conversation with a friend, family member, or colleague. It's about exercising your intellectual courage and daring to stand apart, even subtly. Your second option is to pursue a personal interest, hobby, or even a thought you've kept hidden or suppressed. Perhaps it's a creative pursuit you've dismissed as unproductive, a niche interest you worry others might find strange, or simply giving dedicated time to a personal project you've always put on hold. Give it space and time, just for yourself, without concern for external judgment or utility. This is about affirming your unique passions and allowing them to breathe, asserting your inner life. Day 7. The creating phase, your own values. Tasks you've questioned, observed, and acted. Now, on the final day of this introductory challenge, it's time to consolidate your emerging self, and lay a cornerstone for your self-created life. Your ultimate challenge for day 7 is to define and write down one personal value that is 100% your own. This isn't a value inherited from family, friends, or societal expectations. This must be a value that springs directly from your deepest sense of self, your will, and your unique experience of the world. Reflect deeply on the insights from the past week. What truly matters to you, independent of what others say should matter? What principle, quality, or aspiration would you choose to guide your life simply because it resonates with your authenticity and strength? It could be courageous honesty, unfettered creativity, intellectual independence, radical self-responsibility, or something entirely unique to you. Write it down. Make it explicit. This is the seed of your self-created morality, a testament to your journey beyond good and evil, and a declaration of your emerging sovereignty. This 7-day plan is merely the initial step, a practical immersion into Nietzsche's philosophy. The journey of self-overcoming, of living authentically, is a lifelong process. Embrace the ongoing work of questioning, observing, acting, and creating. Live your life as a work of art, continually shaping yourself, not conforming to preset molds. This is how you truly live beyond good and evil, forging your own path with courage, creativity, and an unyielding will. We've journeyed through the challenging and exhilarating landscape of Friedrich Nietzsche's Beyond Good and Evil*. It's a text that doesn't just ask questions, it demands a radical re-evaluation of everything we thought we knew about morality, truth, and ourselves. Now, as we draw our exploration to a close, let's distill its immense wisdom into a practical, actionable toolkit for navigating your own life. This isn't just theory. It's an invitation to live with greater intention, authenticity, and power. Here is your 3-point Nietzschean toolkit. Firstly, and perhaps most fundamentally, question all values. Nietzsche implores you to recognize that your morality, your deeply held beliefs about what is good and evil, right and wrong, are not universal, objective facts handed down from on high. Instead, they are perspectives. They are interpretations, often inherited, culturally conditioned, and frequently serving interests or historical circumstances you may not even be aware of. The courage Nietzsche demands is the courage to look behind the curtain. Don't just accept a moral code because it's traditional or because everyone else does. Have the intellectual honesty and the emotional fortitude to examine the why behind what you believe is good. Where did this value come from? Who benefits from it? Does it truly serve your flourishing, or does it constrain it? This isn't an invitation to nihilism, but to self-awareness, to understand the origins of your own moral compass, rather than simply letting it be set by default. It's the first step towards intellectual freedom, to see your values not as unshakable dogma, but as propositions open to rigorous, personal inquiry. This rigorous self-examination is critical because unquestioned values can often become invisible chains, binding us to narratives and goals that aren't truly our own. To question your values is to begin the process of taking ownership of your ethical framework rather than merely inheriting it. It's about developing a profound understanding of the deep-seated motivations and historical trajectories that have shaped not only society's moral fabric, but your own personal moral architecture. Secondly, embrace the will to power. For many, this phrase sounds ominous, evoking images of tyranny and domination. But Nietzsche's concept is far more subtle and profound. The will to power is not primarily about dominating others, but about self-overcoming. It is your inherent, fundamental drive for growth, for mastery, for self-perfection, for exceeding your current limitations. It's the impulse to create, to learn, to excel, to become more. Think of a musician endlessly practicing to master their instrument, an athlete pushing past pain to break a record, an artist striving to express an unseen vision, or an entrepreneur building something new from the ground up. This drive for continuous self-transcendence, for becoming stronger, wiser, more capable, is, for Nietzsche, your most natural and noble instinct. It's the life-affirming force that propels all organic life towards greater complexity and expression. To embrace the will to power is to recognize this dynamic, striving energy within yourself and to consciously direct it towards your own highest potential. It means refusing stagnation, rejecting mediocrity, and instead actively seeking challenges that will expand your capacities and deepen your being. It's the recognition that life itself is a continuous process of overcoming resistance, both external and internal, to assert and amplify your unique existence. This isn't about brute force, it's about the sophisticated and relentless pursuit of excellence in all its forms, shaping yourself into an ever more powerful and expressive individual. It's the profound recognition that your true essence lies in this continuous, upward trajectory of becoming, rather than a static state of being. Finally, and as a culmination of the first 2 points, create yourself. If you question all values and embrace your innate drive for growth, the logical next step is to step into your role as the architect of your own existence. Stop being a character in someone else's story, a story perhaps written by society, by tradition, by religion, or even by your own past limitations. Nietzsche calls upon you to become the author of your own narrative, the sculptor of your own soul. This means actively defining your own values, choosing your own purposes, and designing a life that authentically reflects who you are becoming, rather than merely conforming to external expectations. It's about self-legislation, forging your own moral code from the crucible of your own experience and your own deepest insights, rather than passively adopting one. It's a tremendous responsibility, and it can be isolating, for to create yourself is to stand apart, but it is also the ultimate expression of freedom and self-mastery. The goal isn't just to find yourself, but to make yourself, to construct a self that is strong, coherent, and profoundly authentic, capable of facing the challenges of existence with courage and grace. This process is never truly finished. It is an ongoing journey of refinement, re-evaluation, and continuous becoming. To create yourself is to embody the ultimate Nietzschean ideal, to turn your life into a work of art, authored by you for you, and in doing so, to elevate existence itself. It means taking full ownership of your trajectory, daring to innovate not just your actions but your very character, ensuring that every facet of your being aligns with your highest aspirations for yourself. So, remember this toolkit: question all values, embrace the will to power, and create yourself. These are not mere philosophical maxims. They are a call to action, an invitation to a life lived with unwavering integrity and audacious self-authorship. Nietzsche challenges us not to shy away from the immense responsibility of freedom, but to embrace it fully, to become who we truly are, beyond good and evil. The journey is yours. Take up your pen, sculpt your form, and live your masterpiece. We've journeyed through the intricate landscapes of Nietzsche's beyond good and evil, probing the foundations of our moral compasses questioning the very origins of our most cherished beliefs and daring to gaze into the abyss of truth, however uncomfortable it may be. We've wrestled with the will to power, unmasked the prejudices of philosophers, and begun to understand what it means to transcend the mundane, the conventional, the herd. But this isn't merely an intellectual exercise to be consumed and forgotten. This is a call to transformation, an invitation to step from the shadow of passive observation into the blazing light of active, conscious, and courageous thought. Nietzsche wasn't interested in spectators. He sought creators, innovators, individuals brave enough to forge their own values. And that, my friends, is precisely what you are now called to be. So, let's take a definitive step forward. If you've been with us on this journey, absorbing these potent ideas, feeling the stirrings of a new perspective within, then it's time to put that nascent spirit into action. We've talked extensively about the herd mentality, the comfort of conformity, the allure of pre-packaged opinions. Now, I want to hear from you directly. What is the one herd opinion, a belief, or a perspective commonly accepted without question in your world that you will actively challenge this week? It could be something seemingly small, a social convention, or something larger, a widely held political or cultural assumption. The challenge isn't necessarily to dismantle it for others, but to critically examine it for yourself, to refuse its automatic acceptance, and perhaps to articulate your defiance. Share your chosen herd opinion and how you intend to challenge it in the comments below. Let's create a space where courageously questioning the status quo is not just tolerated, but celebrated. Your unique perspective is not just valuable, it is essential. If this exploration has stirred something within you, if it has given you even a flicker of the courage to think differently, to look beyond the surface, to question what you once held as immutable truth, then please, take a moment to like this video. Your likes are more than just metrics. They are affirmations, signals to us and to others that these ideas resonate, that there is an appetite for deeper thought in a world often content with superficiality. They help us reach more nascent free spirits, expanding our community of independent thinkers. And speaking of community, if you haven't already, subscribe to this channel. This isn't just about consuming content, it's about joining a vibrant, growing community of individuals dedicated to intellectual growth, to challenging conventional wisdom, and to cultivating their own unique understanding of the world. By subscribing, you ensure you don't miss our future explorations into philosophy, literature, and critical thought. You join a collective journey, but one where individual autonomy is paramount. Here, we don't seek to tell you what to think, but to empower you to think for yourself, to provide the tools and inspiration for your own intellectual ascent. For those truly ready to deepen this profound engagement, to take the reins of your own intellectual destiny, your next step is clear. Pick up a copy of Beyond Good and Evil by Friedrich Nietzsche. Immerse yourself in the original text. Grapple with his provocations firsthand. Experience the sheer power and poetic brilliance of his prose. This video has been a guide, a map, but the true journey, the most transformative experience, lies in traversing the terrain yourself. The nuances, the depths, the subtle tremors of his thought are best felt directly. Let Nietzsche himself be your companion as you further cultivate your own spirit of inquiry and independence. This book is not just to be read, it is to be lived, to be wrestled with, to be assimilated into the very fabric of your being. It will challenge you, provoke you, and ultimately empower you in ways you cannot yet imagine. Remember, the goal isn't just knowledge, it's self-overcoming. It's becoming more than you were, more than society expects you to be, more than you thought possible. It's about stepping beyond the good and evil defined by others and daring to define your own. The path ahead, the path of the true free spirit, is undeniably difficult. It demands courage, resilience, and an unwavering commitment to truth, even when that truth shatters comfortable illusions. It is a path often walked in solitude, misunderstood by the multitude. But precisely because it is difficult, because it is uniquely forged by your own will and intellect, it is the only path truly worth walking. It is the path to authenticity, to self-mastery, to a life lived on your own terms. The path is difficult, but it is your own. Walk it.